All right, well, thanks guys for watching this video. I've had a few questions from various people asking how the whole system works with managing wave rally. And I thought I'd make a video to explain it. It's a much easier way than me writing text to people all the time. So essentially, the Wave Rally World Championships, as I've called it, is quite unique because we have a system which doesn't knock people out throughout the event until you get to the finals. You know, everyone gets pretty much equal time on the water, and that's fantastic from a event organizing point of view, and also, of course, the everyone can entering the event because they feel like they're getting plenty of time sailing. You know, often with wave sailing events or slalom for that matter, you'll get knocked out in a quarter or semi or in a heat, and that's the end of your event. But with this, you actually you do lots of heats. Now, I'll start from the start and explain how it works. There's when people enter Wave Rally, they register. Obviously, there's women's and there's men's, and then within the men, all the men that enter get weighed at registration, and they get divided into 3 equal-sized groups. One's lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. They don't have a particular kilo category. It's just, you just weigh everybody and then divide it into 3 equal lots, whatever those weights may be. The women's obviously all just fall within the women's category. So there's actually, in Wave Rally, there's 4 divisions that you can compete for. And then there's also what's called the mega final, which is just the 10 best sailors, no matter women, men, teenager, senior, whatever, or weight, they all go into this mega final. And if you win that, you become the overall Wave Rally world champion. And within the competition, there's actually 2 days of competition now. Like, this is a newer iteration of this system. It first actually started with 3-day competition and now has morphed into 2-day because I realized that that's enough and people get quite exhausted even after 2 days. And from an event organizing point of view, it makes it easier for me as well, running 2 days rather than 3. So as you can see on this banner, we've got competition day 1, which has 4 rounds in it, and competition day 2, which has 3 rounds, and then we have the finals at the end. This column here is just showing the results of the champions in the different divisions. In each round, like, again, you can do, if you're wanting to organize your own sort of event and use a system like this, you can change this. But for Wave Rally, each round has 8 heats, and in each heat there's 12 boxes. So if you do 12 times 8, that's 96. So you could, under this system, you can have maximum 96 sailors. If 60 people enter your event, you've got this system, you could actually have 60, what's that? You could have 8, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, and have 4 at the bottom. So you can actually make it's very flexible. It doesn't have to be this perfect number. The main thing is that you have all the equal numbers in each of these top heats, and the remaining goes to the bottom. And I'll explain why that is. For the purpose of this example, I'm just going to make it easy, and we'll go with a number of 80 entrants. With Wave Rally, I'm either going to cap it at 80 or say 88, which means there'll be 10 people in each heat, and once it sells out, it sells out. So we have 80 people. The first person to actually enter the event. So when you register, you obviously go online, pay your money. The very first person that does that, their name goes to the top of the box at Heat 1, Round 1. And if you're the very last person to enter Wave Rally, you go to the bottom. So it's, basically there's it'll make sense in a second, but you do actually have a benefit of starting up the top rather than down the bottom. And I'm rewarding those people that enter early. They get to the top, and everyone else just filters down towards the bottom. So because we're going to be doing 80 people in this event, there's 10 names get put into each box. Now, the first heat, it obviously depends on the weather conditions, but For the ease of this example, let's just say this first heat starts at 12 o'clock at midday, right on the dot. Each heat, once you've decided what time the event starts, each of these following heats, it starts 10 minutes after. So on the day, once I understand what the wind forecast is, I have a skippers meeting at around 10:30. And I say, you know what, the wind looks like it's going to be good at 12, we're starting at 12. Or the wind looks like it's going to be good at 1, we're starting at 1. You pick a number, but in this case, we're going to start at 12. Then I get the volunteer to fill in here 12. Oh, by the way, this whole banner, this is a 3.5 meter by 1.67, whatever it is, banner. So quite large. It's a vinyl banner. It gets printed and it gets mounted on the side of the Geraldton Windsurfing Club, a container. So it's really quite large. And everyone at the event uses this to obviously work out what heat they're in. It manages the whole event, this system. And at the admin tent, I have this printed out in a much smaller size, laminated, and the volunteers actually fill it out there. And then every 20 minutes go up and just fill out the banner on the container. That's how this system works. It works perfectly because everyone sees what's going on. You don't need electricity to run this. If the power goes out, the names are all up there. And it just visually looks really cool. Everyone sees their name up in lights, so to speak. So the way it works with this system is that it's actually like a snakes and ladders system. When you do a heat and you finish, you're either moving up a heat, you're staying in your lane, or you're moving down a heat. And that's how it works. You're sort of doing this. If you want to win this whole event, if you want to become the overall world champ, the goal is you need to get to heat 1 or heat 2 in round 7. And I'll explain how that works a bit later. So the first round here starts at 12. The next one's at 12:10, 12:20, 12:30, and so on. Just every 10 minutes. And it continues on to round 2. If you fill in all these boxes, if you start here at, say, 12, this last heat is roughly around 6 p.m., give or take. I mean, it's probably not exact, but just to give you an indication of how long it takes to get from heat 1, round 1, to heat 8, round 4. So, you basically need a big chunk of the day to complete this. So let's just say your name is Joe Blogs and you're entered and you actually manage that. You find yourself, you're in heat 4, round 1. That's your first heat. So your heat starts at 12:30. So the way it works is you run the race, right? So if you may have seen the video online of the race, and in the actual heats, there's no actual running race on the beach. You actually cross a finish line on the water near the beach, and there's 2 volunteers that stand there. There's one holding a green band, and there's one holding an orange, like a wristband. If you go over the line, if you're in the top 4 in your heat, you get given a green wristband by a volunteer, which you then take up to an admin tent, and they log your placing. So Joe Blogs, top 4, his name gets put in heat 3, round 2. He's moved up a spot. If you get 5th or 6th, then you get an orange band, and then you actually just move across. You stay in your lane. You're in heat 4. Your name gets put in here. And if you're in the bottom 4 of your heat, you move down. So that's how it works. 4 go up, 2 stay in the lane, and 4 go down. You don't have to, so this is a 4-2-4 system. You don't have to do 4-2-4. The other way you could do it is a 3-4-3 if you have 10 people. The main thing is that the people going up equals the number of that going down, because you obviously need to replace the ones going up and down with the ones from previous heats or other heats. Otherwise, these numbers all just go weird. So that's how it works. So, Joe Blogs here, he gets top 4, he moves up, but in the next heat, he gets to the bottom 4 and he moves down. And then this one, he goes across and he goes up. So it's good because the way it works is that over time, the better sailors move up, the not as good sailors move down, and over the rounds, people start to get into heats with people of similar ability. That's the beauty of the system. When you start, there'll be a very big range of in the heats, all the different skill sets. But by the time you get to round 5, 6, and 7, people of very similar abilities are all racing each other. And it's great. For people who aren't that good, who don't really have a chance of winning the overall, they could be down here in heat 7 or 8, but they're competing against people of their own ability. And it's fun. They have a chance to actually beat, some other people rather than getting smashed at the top here. So it's from from a participation sort of thing. It's great system. And it also, like I said, people aren't getting knocked out and then exiting the event. Everyone's getting pretty much the equal amount of sailing. Now, the heats 1 and heat 2 here, as I said, if you want to win this whole event, you need to end up in 1 or 2 of these heats at the end. The way it works is if you enter last in this format, so you're down here in heat 8, to get to heat 2, you have to get in the top 4 in every round. So if you're down here top 4, you move up. Top 4 move up, top 4 you move up, top 4 you move up, top 4 you move up, and finally you go top 4 again, and then you find yourself in heat 2. You can't actually get from here to the top, but that's okay, because this is the way it works. Like, there is a bit of a penalty if you register late for this event. Obviously you've got to work extra hard to get to the top, but that also gives a motivation for people to get in early, which helps the event organizer feel confident that the bills are getting paid. So I do feel that people who are entering early should get some kind of reward, and this system does reward them. So at the end of all these rounds, once you get to round 7, and by the way, I might not have already explained it, but as you can see here, there's 2 competition days, day 1 and day 2. Sorry, I should have probably mentioned this. There's a window for the event. Currently, it's a 3-day window. In future, it might be 4 or 5, but this is obviously you pick the 2 best days within a window. And in day 1, there's 4 rounds, and in day 2, there's 3 rounds plus the finals. So that's what this is. This is obviously 2 consecutive days. Like, if you say you have a 7-day window and the best days are Tuesday and Friday, well, this is Tuesday, and then you wait 3 days, and then this is Friday. You're just choosing the 2 best days, whatever window that you've decided to do for the event. Currently, it's 3 days with Wave Rally, but it might go to 4 or 5 for the future. So the way it works is, if you get into round 1 or 2, heat 1 or heat 2 in round 7, you have the possibility to get to what's called the mega final. And if you win the mega final, you're the overall Wave Rally World Champion. It's not everyone wants to become the World Champion Wave Rally, but if you do, you have to end up in these 2 heats. The way it works is, if you're in heat 1, round 7, you've been battling and you're up there. So as per previous rounds, the top 4 move up, 5th and 6th stay in the lane, and the bottom 4 go down. So in this one, if you get top 4, your name automatically qualifies for the mega final, and if you become 5th or 6th, your name also goes in the mega final, because essentially you're staying in your lane. The top 6 of this qualify for a mega final, and there's still 4 spots left. And then the bottom 4 of this round go into what's called the mega final qualifier, so they get a second chance. If you get to heat 1, round 7, and you get in the bottom 4, you get a second chance. Your name goes in the mega final qualifier. In heat 2, the top 6 out of these 10 go up into the mega final qualifier. So essentially, this is the bottom 4 from here, and the top 6 from here goes into the mega final qualifier. And then the top 4 from here, because remember, we've got the top 6 here from here, so hopefully you're following me. But if you get in the top 4 in this qualifier out of that 10, then you fill out the remaining boxes, and then you get a chance to become the overall world champion. This is something new for Wave Rally 3. I didn't do this 1 or 2. It was a bit more brutal last time. It was the top 6 went in the mega final and the top 4 here. But a few people complained because, if you made it to this heat 1, you were generally probably the 10 best anyway, or you're close to it. This way, the bottom 4 get a second chance, and they deserve a second chance because they made it all the way to the top. I think that's fair. So this is a new addition, and it's a good system. It also gives people in heat 2 a chance that because, like, say you could be up here the whole time, and then just have a bad start, and you go you're in round 6, and then you go down 1. And you think you could be up here the whole time, and then you go, oh well, that's. At least if you get down here, you get a second chance as well. So it's a good system. Then the other way it works is, once you've done all these heats, the admin tent, the volunteers, they work out who are the top 10 in each of the divisions. So you could be a woman that's in heat 5 or heat 2, whatever, wherever you are. We just go through, and the top 10 women from top to bottom, doesn't matter where you fall, you know which heat you're in, you automatically qualify for the women's final. The top 10 in the lightweight, top to bottom, goes in the lightweights, and so forth with the middleweight and heavyweight. So quite a lot of the people that are in here end up in a final for their own divisions. It's pretty cool because, in the mega final, this is just a mixture of the top from these two heats. It could be an 18-year-old girl, it could be a 65-year-old guy, it could be anyone. So this is just a complete mixture of divisions in here, but we also have finals for the divisions, so we give those people a chance to battle against like people. Obviously, it's very interesting to know who's the best woman is. It's very interesting to know who's the best lightweight men, middleweight men, and heavyweight men as well. So we actually crown 5 champions. And at the end, there's a women's champion, there's a lightweight men's, middleweight men's, heavyweight men's. And then the big one is obviously this mega final, whoever becomes the overall. You can actually win two medals, because you could win your lightweight final, and you could also obviously be entered in the mega final. And that's happened. A few people have actually gotten in both, or have won 2 things, or got second in one and first in the other, or whatever. So that's basically how it works. I hope I haven't missed anything. Like I said, it's a fantastic system because it's very inclusive. It's very clear. The times start at a particular time, and it just starts every 10 minutes. That reminds me. So obviously I said here it starts at 12, or like in this example, it starts at 12 and this one finishes, say, 6. The next day, or the next competition day, it's the same thing. You just pick a number. Again, let's just say this starts at 1 o'clock. So we've got 1, 110, 120, 130, and you just fill in the boxes. You do that on the day with a whiteboard marker, so it's easy to fix if you need to, because it's a vinyl banner, as I mentioned. Once you get to these finals, there's actually about a half an hour. So say this is, 4 o'clock down here. Then this one starts at 4:30. We have a bit of a break just to give people a chance to get organized as well. And then there's 20 minutes in between all these finals, and then 30 minutes into the mega final, the break between here to here. So this might start at 6 or whatever, and this one starts at 6:30. So you would just have a bit of a break between these, because it also helps build up tension. And from a media point of view, I need to organize cameras, drones, to film all these important heats properly. And that's it. Hopefully I have covered just about everything. It's a great system. You can increase the amount of heats. Obviously, if I had 20 heats and you wanted 200 people in the event, you could do it, but then you need to reduce the amount of rounds, or either increase the amount of competition days or have less rounds per day, because you couldn't physically get through them. This system, the way it is, if this starts at 12, this is around 6 p.m. Just to give you an idea. So if you've got 6 hours in a day, this fills it up. So that's it. And any questions, put it down in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Great. Thanks, guys.